Good evening. Not too long ago, we did a video on the channel when the Dan Schneider documentary, Be Quiet on Set, was released on A&E, and it was the talk of the town for about 3 days, and then P. Diddy got fucking raided, and I gotta admit, I think what P. Diddy did, or allegedly did, but what we all kind of know he did, it's probably worse than what Dan Schneider did. Not that it's a contest, I just think that if you look at numbers, like sheer numbers, I would say P. Diddy has probably violated more people. And Schneider, it sounds like he's just kind of like one of those fetish insertion freak guys, you know? So I do think P. Diddy's worse, but we had a video about 11 days ago where we challenged the recently disgraced YouTuber James Somerton, who some might say is the worst person of all out of all this, since he not only plagiarized the LGBT community for his own LGBT community essays, trying to pass off other gay people's work as his own gay videos, but he also threatened to commit unaliving upon himself, and then he decided not to, even though frankly I didn't really see anyone telling him not to do it. But whatever, you know. Anyway, in our video, which I will link to in the description here, we challenged James Somerton to do a video covering the Dan Schneider debacle, denouncing Dan Schneider, and he didn't do it. So I guess there wasn't any gay essays that he could plagiarize for a new video. So we thought that, because our angle was that James Somerton could earn his respect back in the YouTube community by joining the brigade of support for the people who were abused on Nickelodeon, and the support for Amanda and the School of Rock girl and other people who likely had their toes touched by Dan Schneider. And James Somerton could not rise to the task. So it got me and my co-host Frogman, who seems to be taking over the fucking channel with the stupid fucking Star Fox picture. But anyway, I'm gonna have to change that. I might change it to Dan Schneider just to fucking be a dick. But anyway, it got us on the subject of redemption and how one redeems themselves in society. You know, ever since the Me Too really took off, you don't hear a lot about second chances. Now, some people don't deserve one, but we're kind of living in a world where, like, you know, you got people on Twitter who think that, like, Shane Gillis is as bad as Bill Cosby on like the human turd scale, you know. And I would have to say on that, I'm not really laugh at any of their stuff, man. I guess I'd rather hang out with Shane Gillis than Bill Cosby. Definitely. But really, I'd probably just as soon just, you know, sit at home. But it got us thinking, man, about redemption and how if there's any way for Dan Schneider to redeem himself, you know. I mean, he had that kind of, well, not even kind of, it was a half-assed, not even half-assed apology. It was like quarter-assed, zero-assed apology. Just, he got the I guess that one guy who plays like a fast food, he's like a White Castle worker on iCarly. I don't know. I'm not into kids, so I never watched that show. I was too old for it when it came out. But apparently he must this black guy must have owed Dan Schneider a favor, or possibly this particular black guy from iCarly. Some have speculated that he might even be living with Dan Schneider, that they might be possibly in a relationship, or it's some weird like Mr. Slave thing, like from South Park, like I don't know, 20 years ago, whenever they did that. 25 years ago at this point. Fuck, I guess so. But that's another thing. Where I forgot what happened to Mr. Slave, man. But I guess the new Mr. Slave is this guy from iCarly, because he's Mr. Slave, and Schneider appears to be is it Mrs. Garrison now? I don't know. I can't keep up. But anyway, I think that I was going to ask you guys what you think. You know, do you think that Dan Schneider can redeem himself? You know, what would he have to do to make things fair and square? You know, I mean, he obviously engaged in a lot of feet rubbing. He, according to the documentary, you know, he was forcing employees to give him massages. He made, you know, minors squirt like mayonnaise on their face, ketchup on their face. I shouldn't laugh, but because it's really bad. It's actually really bad, but it's just the absurdity of a guy in his 40s, like, because the thing is, when people have those weird fetishes like that, they can't actually 9 times out of 10 they can't have like normal people, not to kink shame you, but they usually can't. Like, if you're into it enough to insert it into like every episode of the TV show that you're broadcasting to millions, you know, there's that theory that Butch Hartman had a thing for like muscled up, like he had a thing for big muscles, and possibly for swirlies as well. I seem to remember a lot of swirlies on Fairly Odd Parents, which can be of a sexual nature to some. But I think Butch Hartman's probably had sex with a vagina before. I would have to say that Dan Schneider is probably technically a virgin. I mean, he's probably engaged in what he considers sexual activity. And honestly, I would have to assume Quentin Tarantino probably has trouble. I mean, I actually like Quentin Tarantino. I don't think he's even done anything bad. Like, you know, there's a big difference in getting Salma Hayek to do it, or Uma Thurman to do a foot thing in a movie, because they knew what was up. Like, they knew Quentin very well by this point. I think I don't know, pretty much as soon as he hit the scene, I think everyone was like, yeah, that's the feet guy. You know, Schneider was getting like 13-year-old girls to do it, and that's bad. You know, so. But what can Dan Schneider do to redeem himself? You know, I thought about the possibility of him maybe doing like a TV show on Netflix where he sees like a sex therapy guy, or I guess you'd say therapist, tries to get to the bottom of why he loves feet, get to the roots of his narcissism, what causes him to like want to put young people in these certain scenarios. Now, you know, I'm not prudish enough to say that like, you know, I remember like on shows like Ed, Edd n Eddy, like one of the cartoon characters will get like some garbage splattered on their faces. I'm not like crazy enough to be like, they're all pedos. They're all, you know, like, that's just like Danny Antonucci. He's the guy who made Ed, Edd n Eddy. He's definitely not a feet or pedo guy. I think he just likes funny, you know. And besides, man, they're cartoons anyway, you know. Like, because I feel like we're with this Schneider thing, man. We're on like a kind of a slippery slope, because like it starts off with like, you know, why would you have adult humor in this kids show? And it's like, yeah, that kind of makes sense when you're dealing with like actual actors, you know. But when it's a guy drawing like Rocco and having like a masturbation reference, I think that's actually a good thing for kids to see. Like, when you have it snuck in like that, I think that's actually because those little moments, like when you would get those jokes as like an 8-year-old or whatever, like those were cool moments, you know. But like with with like the Drake and Josh and iCarly stuff, it's just really weird, like using these kids as pawns, you know. And none of them seem to be doing very well. I mean, like, it would be different if it was like a Weinstein thing where it's like, well, I got a pretty good career out of that one. You know, it's still bad. I mean, Weinstein's worse than fucking Schneider, I think, man. That's why one's in jail, you know. The other one's just famous for being a creep, you know. Like, Louis C.K. is not Ted Bundy, you know what I mean? I hope you all know that. But anyway, shit, what was I saying? I'm gonna hit my vape. It's a raspberry lemonade. Tastes pretty good. Hold on, I'm gonna pause this and go back and figure out what I was saying. Okay, so I'm back. So what I was saying is that, like, you know, at least like with like Weinstein and other predators, and accused predators like Woody Allen, who, by the way, did not actually do anything to Mia Farrow's kid, who I think is actually like Frank Sinatra's kid or some shit. There's way too much convoluted lore with that one, but you know, Woody's a creep, but he's not into 7-year-olds. I would say that 17, yeah, but not 7. I know that, but anyway, so like, you know, I mean, lots of people have had their careers made by powerful predators and things like that, but with Dan Schneider, I mean, like, pretty much everyone the guy touched in his life, like whether metaphorically or not, is just in the tubes, man. I mean, you know, Amanda Bynes kind of went nuts. Jeanette McCurdy, I mean, I don't think she's nuts, but like, she's definitely not. I don't see her on TV. I don't see her on movies. Drake Bell wound up texting teenagers and stuff like that, fleeing to Mexico to become like a pop singer in Mexico. I mean, just fucking nutso Corey Feldman type shit coming with these people. I mean, I can't figure out. I guess it's because, you know, Schneider acted as like, because none of these kids had like legit good parents and shit. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been, you know, sitting there watching their kids get mustard squirted up their butts and stuff like that. Anyway, like happily taking their paychecks and shit. But all these kids ended up all fucked up and shit. And I think like some of the ones who kind of stand by Dan Schneider's side, like, I think it's just a result of grooming, you know. And I know that that's a word like communist kids on Twitter will say that, like, you know, a 29-year-old is grooming his 24-year-old girlfriend and shit like that. I don't mean it in like the way internet people in 2024 use. I mean like the classic definition where it's like I don't know, fucking Lolita or something like that, which hell, you fuckers probably don't even know what Lolita is, but you can look it up and read all about it. It's better than anything Dan Schneider ever made, I know that. But anyway, I mean, all these kids ended up fucked up. So, like, they grew up. Josh Peck is a dick. I know he had that movie Mean Creek or whatever. That was okay. Trying to think, man. Did anybody from all that or any of these shows? Oh yeah, I mean, okay, Ariana Grande don't count because she's fucking. I think she's just as fucked up as fucking Schneider from what I've heard, man. Just based on speculation, of course. But she sounds like a grade A fucking just, I don't know, shit fucker turd, basically. So yeah, you got, let's see, like, he was doing TV shows from like, what, 94 to around 2017 or 18 or something like that. So you got 24 years and you got one person who's still famous. And then there's some people who are kind of just famous for being fucking, having disastrous personal lives and having, I mean, Dan Schneider is such a fucked up fucker that like half the people who work with him turned their whole career into just talking shit about Dan Schneider. I mean, Jeanette McCurdy wrote that fucking book about him. fucking, who's that chick on YouTube? Alexa Nichols. And, you know, Jamie Lynn, I mean, she, where the fuck is she, dude? Where's Amanda? Why are all these people, you know, that fucking documentary was the talk of the town for like a few days, and I didn't even see any fucking memes. I saw, there was more people talking about Tiger King, which means nothing. You know, Tiger King, well, I guess there was some abuse in Tiger King too. I mean, he fucking was doing some fucked up shit to those, like, he made those, like, meth head guys marry him and pretend to be gay and stuff like that, so that was pretty fucked up. So I get, it really, I mean, the Tiger King movie was, like, just as a fan of watching entertainment, I think Tiger King was definitely better than Be Quiet on the Set with Dan Schneider. But still, man, where's everyone at? You know? You know, and I mean, you got a few freaks standing by his side, like I saw where some random no-name black girl from All That was like, you know, me and my mom like Dan Schneider. It's like, okay, well, you know, do you have any money from doing that show? Do they rerun all that? Is it in syndication? None of these shows are Seinfeld, dude. I mean, I know they may have been childhood for some of you fucking lame asses who were, you know, born after like 1997 or something, but, you know, I'd say, honestly, man, if you were born, like, if you were born in like 1992 and you've seen Drake and Josh, man, like, you really should have been getting on to like, I don't know, R-rated movies by that point, dude. Like, I don't know if you were grounded or what, but, cause all that shit sucked, man. None of it was ever good. And frankly, man, there's nothing like, it's not that much that's funny about, people squirting ketchup on themselves and stuff. I mean, now maybe if like the Three Stooges did it, nah, honestly, that still wouldn't be that funny. I mean, now, but it would have been funny like 1959 or something like that. But really, to get back to the point, man, what we need here, what we on the channel are challenging, what we on the channel are challenging Dan Schneider to do is to atone for his creepiness, outed creep Louis C.K. has been doing his, particular brand of quasi-therapeutic, quasi-fucking exhibitionist comedy. His stand-up, he's working through the situation, kind of making jokes, kind of being serious. That's always been his thing, about the... But he's covering his scandal, and Dan Schneider did that apology video, and man, it was just really messed up, cringe, creepy video, and that guy, the black guy who interviewed him, that guy doesn't have a career. He probably works at the actual restaurant that he worked at in iCarly, So he's probably flipping burgers. Now, I got nothing against flipping burgers. I'd much rather flip burgers than be on a fucking Dan Schneider show. But at the same time, I mean, I really don't think I was his type or the Brian Peck guy's type. As you all know, Brian Peck, no relation to Josh Peck, but Brian Peck did some pretty horrible things to Drake Bell. Actually, man, I'd have to say Drake Bell probably got it the worst out of everyone who's on that show, which, doesn't excuse his transgressions or whatever. But at the same time, I mean, if it was the 70s, you wouldn't really care if a, 25-year-old and an 18-year-old hooked up or something like that. But, which I think Drake was texting like 17, 16-year-olds, so he was being a creep. I mean, he's got his own problems he needs to work through, and I'm kind of amazed that no one's been grilling him for being like a predator, himself in his own way. But I mean, he at least has that kind of like, I'm working on it thing. I mean, Dan Schneider doesn't really have an excuse to be fucked up because there's no I don't think he was abused. Sounds like he was actually quite spoiled, got everything he wanted, which is, its own way a form of abuse because you're stunting your child's growth and turning them into a loser. But Dan actually, was, I guess, technically a winner because he became even richer with his dumbass shows that I can't believe anyone watched. even all that wasn't that funny. I mean, it's one of those things like, you know, you just kind of, it was just on, you know. Even back then, I was like, man, I wish my parents would leave the room so I could turn it to like, I don't know, Dr. Katz or South Park or just fucking Beavis and Butthead, anything, man. Because all I remember from all that, man, like just kids being loud and chewing gum loud, and I don't know, man. It's a twisted, wicked world out there, and I think Dan Schneider really needs to. I don't know. Just there's an old phrase from where I come from in the in my home of Iowa, or I meant Arkansas. We're from Arkansas here on the channel. I say Iowa because I'm actually looking at a bag of Iowa potatoes right now. There's a big bag of Iowa. I was gonna make some French fries, so I didn't want to forget. I wanted to do the video first, but I didn't want to forget I was gonna make Iowa potato French fries. So I put the bag of Iowa potatoes next to my microphone and computer and my desk and all that stuff. And but anyway, we here in Arkansas have a saying. It says shit or get off the pot, which means, you know, you can either, you know, do something or get out of the way. Now, Dan Schneider probably needs to both do something and get out of the way, because, I mean, I really don't think anyone's going to be hiring him to do it. I mean, that motherfucker cannot buy shoes again without someone raising their eyebrow, you know what I mean? Like go into a shoe store and, like, talk to some chick who works there. I mean, it would just, the whole interaction would be tainted at this point. I mean, at least Louis C.K. can, like, he can like order food. He can go anywhere, I guess, really, man. I mean, there's not many. Is there a masturbation store? I mean, there's a sex shop, sure, but he probably hangs out at those anyway. But we here at the channel, you know, we're wondering if you guys think that Dan Schneider can redeem himself, and if so, how would he do it? I mean, what can the guy say? What can he, you know, now obviously some people, like Harvey Weinstein, he can never redeem himself, you know, but Schneider, you know, my co-host Frogman, you know, he's a Christian. So, he reads all the stories and stuff, the Bible with the, you know, I forgive you and I'll turn my cheeks over for you and all that. And, you know, should we turn our cheeks over for Dan Schneider? You know, should we not look the other way, but, you know, hear what he has to say? I mean, because really at this point, I mean, I guess I would have to find out that Dan Schneider himself was, like, forced to, I don't know, suck his dad's feet or something for me to actually, like, have some sympathy for the guy, you know? And, but, you know, I do like the idea of him doing his own Netflix show where he goes to see like a sex therapist, and then all the profits made from the show get sent to like the Center for Abused, you know, like one of those charity things where like the money can go to maybe, you know, child stars who got abused, you know. I mean, we're really lucky that that Schneider realistically probably wasn't as bad as some of the people who were around in the 80s, you know, the people who were molesting Corey Feldman and Corey Haim and other people, I don't know, Brooke Shields, and I don't know, probably trying to think of who else. A lot of people got abused back then, man. I don't know. You know, Robert Downey Jr. used to supposedly be on the Crazy Days and Nights blog, man. And he would get on there and spill the beans on people. And it ended up just being like some random bored gay guy. It was probably Andy Dick or some shit. Someone who isn't cool. But people just wanted to imagine that fucking Iron Man was getting on this fucking gay lawyer's blog and talking about how, Corey Haim was inducted into a satanic butt fucking ritual and all this shit, So I'd say, man, the 80s were a hell of a lot more brutal than Nickelodeon, but that still doesn't make any excuses for anything, man, because, we take trauma and all that stuff seriously, and, but, yeah, man, can Dan Schneider redeem himself? Let us know in the comments. Thank you.